Christmas music has a rich history that dates back centuries. From religious hymns to secular ballads, Christmas songs have evolved over time to reflect the changing cultural and social landscape of the holiday season. So let's take a closer look at the origins of some of the most beloved Christmas classics and novelties, and explore how they came to be the soundtrack of the season. Good King Wenceslas is a beloved Christmas carol that was first penned by English hymn writer John Mason Neale in 1853. The song is set to the tune of the 14th century carol, "The Time is Near for Flowering," and focuses on the journey of a kind man who set out in terrible weather on the post-Christmas holiday of St. Stephen's Day to provide aid to poor neighbors. This titular king was a real man, Wenceslas I, Duke of Bohemia, who ruled from 924 to 935. Unlike his nefariously nicknamed sibling Boleslav the Cruel, Wenceslas was adored by his subjects. His great acts of charity led to him posthumously being declared a king, and an eventual upgrade to sainthood. He is now the patron saint of the Czech Republic. Deck the Halls is a popular Christmas carol that dates back to the 16th century. Its melody and much of the lyrics were borrowed from the New Year's Eve song Nos Galan in Wales. Scottish folk music scribe Thomas Oliphant transformed lines like, "Oh how soft my fair one's bosom fa la 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 la," into Yuletide wishes like, "Deck the halls with boughs of holly fa la 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 la." In 1862, his version of Deck the Hall was published in Welsh Melodies, Volume 2. Oliphant went on to become a renowned translator of songs as well as a lyricist for the court of Queen Victoria. However, Oliphant's version is not the one most commonly sung today. The variant called Deck the Halls became popular from revised music sheet printings made in 1877 and 1881. Lines like, "Fill the mead cup, drain the barrel" were swapped for, "Don we now our gay apparel." Jingle Bells is one of the most popular Christmas songs in the world. The song Jingle Bells was originally written for Thanksgiving by James Lord Pierpont in 1851. He was inspired by the sleigh races that were popular in his hometown of Medford, Massachusetts. Back then, people used to attach bells to their horses' harnesses when they rode in sleighs through the snowy roads of New England. The bells helped them avoid accidents at blind corners, since sleighs were very quiet. The melody of the song matches the sound of the bells on a trotting horse, but most people think that jingle bells are a special type of bell. The song became associated with Christmas in the 1860s, and is now one of the most performed and most recognizable songs in the world. The 1943 version by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters is still the most popular today. White Christmas is a classic holiday song that was made famous by Bing Crosby in 1941, just 18 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, the song's composer, Irving Berlin, didn't write it full of Christmas cheer. In fact, he usually spent Christmas Day visiting the grave of his 3-week-old son, who died on Christmas in 1928. This helps explain the melancholy feel of the song. When Crosby traveled overseas to perform for troops, White Christmas was the most requested song. However, Crosby was hesitant to perform it because it often caused a nostalgic yearning among the men that made them sad. "Heaven knows I didn't come that far to make them sad," he said in an interview. "For this reason, several times I tried to cut it out of the show, but these guys just hollered for it." Montgomery Ward Department Store headquarters decided to create a free book for kids to get children and families into the holiday spirit. Admin Robert May came up with the idea of a reindeer as his main character. As he peered out at the thick fog that had drifted off Lake Michigan, May came up with the idea of a misfit reindeer ostracized because of his luminescent nose, who used his physical abnormality to guide Santa's sleigh and save Christmas. May, who was a limerick writer, loved alliteration and brainstormed different names that began with the letter R, like Reginald and Rodney. Luckily, Rudolph stuck because singing about Rollo the red-nosed reindeer, another of his tries, just wouldn't be the same. The book was a huge success for Montgomery Ward, but they signed over the copyright to May in 1947. 2 years later, May's brother-in-law Johnny Marks, a songwriter, put Rudolph's story to music life. Bing Crosby was given the first choice to sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but Gene Autry recorded the song after Crosby turned it down. That was a big mistake since 2 million copies were sold and the song continues to be one of the best-selling of all time. Baby, It's Cold Outside is a Christmas song written by Frank Loesser in 1944. The song was originally performed by Loesser and his wife at parties as a playful duet. The song became popular after it was featured in the 1949 film Neptune's Daughter. The song has since been covered by numerous artists and has become a Christmas classic. The song has been the subject of controversy due to its lyrics, which some people interpret as promoting date rape. The song's lyrics describe a man trying to convince a woman to stay with him despite her repeated objections. However, others argue that the song should be understood in the context of the time it was written, and that it is simply a playful duet between two people who are attracted to each other. Baby It's Cold Outside was featured in the 2003 Christmas comedy film, Elf, directed by Jon Favreau. In the movie, Buddy, played by Will Ferrell, overhears Jovi, played by Zooey Deschanel, singing the song in the shower room, and joins in to sing along with her. In recent years, some artists have released new versions of the song with updated lyrics to address concerns about the song's message. For example, John Legend and Kelly Clarkson released a version of the song in 2019, with updated lyrics that emphasize the importance of consent. Dina Martin, daughter of Dean Martin, who recorded a popular version of the song in 1959, criticized the new interpretation as absurd. She maintained that her father would not have approved of altering the lyrics to appease contemporary sensibilities, as she believed the new version to be more sexually explicit than Lois's original. All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth is a saccharine Christmas song that was composed by Donald Yetter Gardner in 1944. Gardner, a grade school teacher, and his wife Doris, sat down with a group of second graders in Smithtown, New York, to help them compose a song for Christmas. While there are different versions of the origin, they all involve a bunch of children saying, "All I want for Christmas is..." It's not so much that any students wished for those absent front teeth, but more that Gardner was charmed by their requests, hindered by toothless lisping. Gardner went home that night, and in just 30 minutes penned the Christmas tune that would earn him royalties until his death in the fall of 2004. A performance at his school of the song led to a meeting with Whitmark Music Company, and ultimately to Spike Jones and his City Slickers recording the ditty in 1948. Gardner gave up his teaching job to become a music consultant and editor, and later remarked in awe of his own success, "I was amazed at the way that silly little song was picked up by the whole country." In 1944, songwriter Hugh Martin was working on a melody that he couldn't quite get right. After playing with it for a few days, he threw it in the wastebasket. Luckily, his songwriting partner Ralph Blaine convinced him to retrieve it. The song ended up being "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Martin wrote the song for the film Meet Me in St. Louis, which is considered one of the top 20 Christmas movies of all time. However, the original lyrics were deemed too melancholy for Judy Garland's character in the movie. The film producers wanted an upbeat song that would make the scene even sadder if she was smiling through her tears. So Martin and Blaine rewrote the lyrics to be cheerier, and the result was the version of the song that we know today. It has since been remade by many artists including Frank Sinatra, Twisted Sister, and Tori Amos. In 1950, Walter Jack Rollins and Steve Nelson wrote Frosty the Snowman for Gene Autry, who had previously sung Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The song was originally intended to be a wintertime song rather than a holiday tune. It wasn't until 1969 that Christmas was incorporated into the song's lyrics for a TV special. The original lyrics were, "But he waved goodbye saying, 'Don't you cry, I'll be back again someday.'" They were changed for the animated show to be sung, "But he waved goodbye saying, 'Don't you cry, I'll be back on Christmas Day.'" Santa Baby is a popular Christmas song that was originally performed by American singer Eartha Kitt with Henri René and his orchestra, and released in 1953. The song was written by Joan Javits and Philip Springer, who also used the pseudonym Tony Springer in an attempt to speed up the song's publishing process. Lyrically, the song is a tongue-in-cheek look at a Christmas list addressed to Santa Claus by a woman who wants extravagant gifts such as sables, yachts, and decorations from Tiffany. According to Songfacts, Javits came up with the lyric "Santa Baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me," and Springer quickly came up with the music. The song became a holiday hit and Kitt's most famous song. It has since been covered by many artists, such as Madonna, Kylie Minogue, Taylor Swift, and Trisha Yearwood. Other musicians, including Ariana Grande and Gwen Stefani, have released covers of the song as singles. Many of the cover versions experienced major commercial success, with Minogue's version reaching the top 40 of the UK singles chart and selling over 600,000 copies. Madonna's cover has sold over 500,000 copies in the United States, and was subject to discussion by many music critics, who believed her version revived the popularity of the song. Jingle Bell Rock, an iconic American Christmas tune that debuted in 1957 by Bobby Helms, has become a seasonal cornerstone in the United States. Intriguingly, a controversy surrounds its original songwriting, as both Helms and session guitarist Hank Garland fervently maintained that it was they who crafted the song, contradicting credits officially bestowed to Joseph Carlton Beale, James Ross Booth. They argued that they drastically revamped the original track, incorporating transformations to the musical composition, lyrical content, rhythm, and the inclusion of a bridge. However, regardless of their claims and evidently significant contributions, neither Helms nor Garland were recognized for their work with writing credits or royalties that followed. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree is a celebrated Christmas tune penned by Johnny Marks and delivered by Brenda Lee in 1958. This masterpiece has since been covered by a plethora of music artists. With over 25 million copies sold, Brenda Lee's original rendition holds the 4th position in terms of most digital downloads sold for any Christmas single. Its prominence catapulted particularly after its inclusion in the 1990 movie Home Alone. Interestingly, Brenda Lee was a tender 13 years old when she immortalized this song on October 19, 1958, under the guidance of her producer, Owen Bradley, and the lyricist, Johnny Marks. Though its lyrics may be viewed as somewhat antiquated today, its charisma remains undiminished, continuing to enchant audiences worldwide. Do You Hear What I Hear? Is a Christmas song that was written in 1962 by Noel Regney and Gloria Shane. The song was written during the Cuban Missile Crisis as a plea for peace, and it has since become a popular Christmas song. Regney was inspired to write the lyrics, "Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? And pray for peace, people everywhere," after watching babies being pushed in strollers on the sidewalks of New York City. The song tells a story loosely based upon the story of the Nativity of Jesus as told in the Gospel of Matthew, incorporating fragments of the Annunciation to the shepherds from the Gospel of Luke, though Jesus is never mentioned by name or explicitly identified. Happy Xmas, War is Over, is a Christmas song that was written by John Lennon and Yoko Ono in 1971. The song was released as a single credited to John and Yoko, Plastic Ono Band, and the Harlem Community Choir. The song's context is the Vietnam War era and the 1960s counterculture, when Lennon and Ono were peace activists involved in the anti-war movement. The US had entered the Vietnam War in 1965, and the counterculture grew increasingly opposed to involvement in the conflict. Lennon and Ono became leading faces of peace activism and in 1969, led anti-war bet-ins during their honeymoon. They'd married the same year and used the press to spread a new message: war is over, if you want it. The same phrase featured on billboards at Christmastime 1969, with the Happy Christmas greeting added on. The two-part slogan would then title Lennon and Ono's co-written holiday song 2 years later. The song was released as a holiday season message of hope, but still a call for change, coming amid the Vietnam War and a few years before its conclusion. The single charted highly worldwide in 1971 and later did the same shortly after Lennon's death in December of 1980. The song has since become a Christmas standard, and is regarded as a timeless holiday song that's beloved to this day. Wonderful Christmastime is a Christmas song that was written by Paul McCartney and released in 1979. The song was based upon a synthesizer riff played on a sequential circuit's Prophet 5, and it was McCartney's first Christmas composition since the Beatles' fan club messages in the 1960s. The song was recorded during sessions for the McCartney II album, and it was released as a single in November 1979. The song was written on a boiling hot day in July, and it took McCartney just 10 minutes to pen the song. Despite its simple lyrics, the song remains impressive and has become one of the most widely played Christmas songs on radio. The song peaked at number 6 on the UK singles chart and has since been covered by many artists including Kylie Minogue and Harry Styles. Last Christmas is a Christmas song that was written and performed by British pop duo Wham! In 1984. The song tells the story of a failed romantic relationship during the holiday season, and it has become a holiday classic. According to Smooth Radio, the song was originally intended to be a protest against the commercialization of Christmas, but it ended up becoming a holiday classic instead. The song was released as a double A-side single with Everything She Wants, and became a massive hit, reaching number 2 on the UK singles chart. The song has since been covered by many artists, including Taylor Swift and Carly Rae Jepsen. Fairytale of New York, released in 1987, is a Christmas song by the Irish folk punk band, The Pogues, featuring Kirsty MacColl. The song tells the story of a couple who have fallen on hard times, and are reminiscing about their past Christmases together. The song's title is a reference to the novel A Fairytale of New York by J.P. Donlevy. The song was originally intended to be a duet between Shane MacGowan and bassist Cato Reardon, but she left the band before the song was recorded. Kirsty MacColl was then brought in to sing the female part of the duet. Although the song was not an immediate success, it has since become a Christmas classic and is widely regarded as one of the greatest Christmas songs of all time. The song has been covered by numerous artists and has been used in several films and TV shows. The song's lyrics have been the subject of controversy due to the use of derogatory language towards the Irish and the LGBTQ community. However, the song's popularity has endured, and it continues to be a beloved Christmas classic. All I Want for Christmas Is You is a Christmas song that was written and performed by American singer Mariah Carey in 1994. The song was co-written by Carey and Walter Afanasieff, and was released as the lead single from Carey's fourth studio album, Merry Christmas. The song has become one of the most popular Christmas songs of all time, and is widely regarded as a modern Christmas classic. The song was initially inspired by Phil Spector's 1963 album, A Christmas Gift for You from Phil Spector, which saw Spector apply his trademark wall of sound production to a collection of Christmas standards. Carey and Afanasieff wanted to create a modern Christmas classic that would capture the spirit of Spector's album and the classic Christmas songs of the 1950s and 1960s. The song features Carey's signature vocals and a catchy melody that has made it a holiday favorite for generations. As we wrap up our journey of the stories behind Christmas songs and the soundtrack of the season, remember that these songs are like old friends, bringing joy and nostalgia every year. Thanks for joining us. Happy holidays, and here's to a festive season ahead.